In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the 10 rules that you need to follow to beat 95% of pickleball players. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Coach Austin Hardy. I'm a 5.5 rated player, a PPR certified coach, and the founder of pickleballDrillsApp.com. It's a program where serious pickleball players go to learn and improve faster than they ever thought possible. So if that sounds like you can check it out. Later in this video, I'm going to be sharing a story with you about a time when I was in a 5.0 gold medal match. And my partner and I had lost the first game 1-11, and we came back and won the second game 11-5. And it was all because we followed one of these rules that we're going to be talking about in this video. Now, I'm not going to tell you the outcome of that match yet, but what I can say is it's one of the best learning experiences that I've ever had out on the pickleball court. Rule number one is to be aggressive and not passive. A lot of players will hear this and they'll think that I just am telling them to speed up every single ball at every single opportunity. The truth is you can be just as aggressive with a reset, drop, and a dink as you can with a speed up, a drive, or an overhead. What it comes down to is controlled aggression, and specifically not being passive. When we're passive, we're tense. We're hopeful that our opponents will make a mistake. When we're aggressive, we're relaxed. We trust in ourselves to set ourselves up to win the point. A few years ago at the Olympics, a reporter asked all the Olympians the same exact question. And he asked all these Olympians this question prior to them competing in whatever it was they were competing at the highest level. And without a doubt, he got the same exact answer from every single Olympian. Do you want to know what the question was that he asked them? The question he asked each of these Olympians was, are you nervous to compete today? And without a doubt, he got the same exact answer. All of them said, I'm not nervous, I'm excited. Now, the thing that's so interesting about these two emotions that we experience in life is when we're out on the pickleball court, we experience them as well. But more so, we experience nervousness. The beautiful thing about this is these Olympians had learned how to trick their brains to make nervousness feel like excitement. When we're nervous, our palms get sweaty, we're anxious about what's going to be happening, and we get butterflies in our stomach. When we're excited, our palms get sweaty, we're anxious about what's about to happen, and we get butterflies in our stomach. But the way that you frame it helps you to either play as an aggressive player who is loose and relaxed, or a passive player that has to control everything and is very firm and hopeful that their opponents will make a mistake. So the next time that you're playing in a tournament, you're playing in rec, whatever it might be, and your brain tells you that you're nervous, reframe it. Say, no, I'm excited. Tell your brain that. You can trick your brain into being excited, and it will help you play as a better aggressive player. Now, again, I want to emphasize something. It's not just being aggressive. It's controlled aggression. It's smart aggression that helps us to be loose and relaxed and play our game. Now, as I said before, you can be just as aggressive with a drop as you can with a drive. What it comes down to is your mindset, your intention behind each shot. So let's break down specifically what I mean in 3 different situations that we find ourselves in every single match that we play. Number 1 is when we find ourselves hitting the 3rd shot of the rally. We have served the ball, our opponents have returned, and now we have to decide what to do with this 3rd shot. Now, the circumstance that we find ourselves is our opponents have hit a deep return. A lot of players that are passive would choose to drop this ball instead of drive it. They choose to drop it in hopes that they can get it in the kitchen, even though that's a low percentage shot. You're on your back foot trying to drop the ball a super small margin over the net. Really low percentage, very passive play. You do this, you're probably gonna miss, but you're hopeful that it goes in first of all, and you're hopeful that your opponents make a mistake. If it does go in, chances are it's gonna be high and they're gonna smash down on it. You hit another one, and then you end up hitting it all the way over to the other court. Now that same ball comes on the 3rd shot, and you choose to be the aggressive player and drive the ball. When you think about a drive, I want you to think about it as a setup shot. A lot of people view a drive as a way to hit winners, but a drive instead is a setup shot because it takes time away from our opponents. Whenever we're taking time away, we're setting ourselves up. So when I speed up from the baseline and hit a drive, I'm taking time away from my opponents. Since they have less reaction time, they're going to hit that ball and give me an easier ball to now drop. Now, the difference between these two circumstances isn't the fact that 1, I'm hitting a drop, and 2, I'm hitting a drive. It's the mindset behind each. I know that if I hit a drop from this position, I'm choosing to be a passive player. It's not a good decision. It's a passive decision in hopes that my opponents make a mistake, in hopes that I can barely get it into that margin. Whereas if I hit a drive, I have huge margins to hit to. I'm gonna put it on my opponents fast and set myself up for an easier drop 9 times out of 10. If not, I can drive the ball again. So again, it's not the difference between a drop and a drive, it's the difference between being passive and being aggressive. Now let's talk about the transition up to the net. This should be happening in every single match that you play in. If it's not, you gotta fix that. Gotta get up to the net. The closer you are to the net, the more court that you take away from your opponents and the more pressure you can apply on them. So here's an example of transitioning up to the net as a passive player. I hit my drop, I move forward a couple of steps, I hit another reset from midcourt, move forward a couple of steps, another reset, in hopes that I don't pop up the ball. But I'm just slowly moving forward in transition. This is passive because we're not trying to create any offense. And what's really weird for people to understand is you can create offense from the midcourt, from this no man's land area. What it comes down to is 2 specific things. First of all, the height of the ball, how high it is. The higher the ball, the more opportunities we have to actually hit a swinging volley and attack. And the second thing that it comes down to is time. How much time do we have to react? If we don't have a lot of time to react, it's gonna make more sense to hit a reset. So again, back to this example. I'm just slowly moving forward. I'm resetting everything. It doesn't matter where it is. My whole goal is to get up to the kitchen. I'm not speeding anything up. That's an example of a passive player. They're hoping that their opponents make a mistake and they're hoping that they allow them to make it up to the kitchen line. Now an example of an aggressive player. We're going to be dropping this initial shot, moving forward, split stepping when they make contact with the ball, in hopes that we can hit a swinging volley. We're trying to attack from here if possible. If we don't have an opportunity to attack and the ball is low, like how I talked about before, or we just don't have time, we're then hitting an aggressive reset. An aggressive reset draws a straight line to our opponents, specifically to our opponent's shins. The reason that we want to go to our opponent's shins is because it puts them in an awkward position to either take the ball out of the air or step back, let the ball bounce, and then dink the ball. Both positions are extremely awkward and they're putting them into a defensive position. So again, I'm trying to hit a swinging volley, but if it is low and I have to hit a reset, I'm drawing that straight line, trying to keep it low on my opponents. This is still an aggressive shot, even though it's a reset. And it comes down to being that aggressive player as I move forward. So I hit my reset, low over the net. I'm not hopeful that it's going in. Instead, I'm relaxed and hitting through my shot. It's more of an aggressive shot hitting at my opponents. I then come in, now they have that decision fatigue. Do they take the ball out of the air? Do they take it off the bounce? Because of this, they usually pop up the ball or just miss the ball right away. So the passive player transitioning forward is hitting high loopy drops and high loopy resets, not looking to attack. The aggressive player is looking to attack based off of the height of the ball. If it's higher than knee level and you're above the 4-0 level, you should be swinging away on that ball 9 times out of 10. If it is higher than waist level and you're below 4-0, you should be swinging on that ball 9 times out of 10, unless it's super high, then obviously it's going out. But the difference between being a passive player in transition and an aggressive player in transition all comes down to your mindset. You're trying to create offense as the aggressive player. As the passive player, you're just trying to stay in the point, hoping that your opponent misses. And that brings us up to the kitchen. If you're not making it up to the kitchen very often, it's probably because you're not applying what we just talked about with the transition. But once we're up here, the difference between a passive player and an aggressive player becomes very apparent. So first of all, being the passive player up at the kitchen line, like how you'd probably guess, it would be dinking the ball and having high lobby dinks, just trying to stay in the point, just staying consistent, again, hoping that our opponents miss. Or we are waiting for our opponents to speed up the ball so that we can either reset or counter the ball. We're just constantly waiting for that counter attack instead of creating things on our own. And when we're specifically up at the kitchen, that's where it comes down to creating. We're hitting more aggressive dinks, keeping the ball low over the net, pulling our opponents in different directions, taking them off the court, hitting it to the middle, speeding up the ball. We're not waiting for our opponents to attack. We're creating opportunities for us to attack. We are creating pop-ups not just by our consistency, but by us causing our opponents to feel pressure. So remember that an aggressive player is looking for opportunities to create offense, whereas a passive player is just hoping that their opponents make a mistake. Don't be a passive player, be an aggressive player. Vuori has the most high quality and comfortable clothes. I absolutely love wearing them for pickleball or in my everyday life. Each morning when I'm getting ready, I have a drawer test that I go through. I look for the Vuori, I grab it out. If the Vuori is dirty, I wash the Vuori and then I put it on. I'm all about wearing comfortable clothes that fit the specific occasion. Every single one of Vuori's clothes are built to move in and they are styled for life. I'm currently wearing their Seaside pullover hoodie. Underneath it, I have their Strato tech tee. It's extremely stretchy and it is lightweight and it's so soft. So not only is it comfortable and durable, but it also looks really good. And that is exactly why I choose to wear Vuori every single time that I put on clothes. You can scan this QR code right here and get 20% off by plugging in your email at checkout. They have a wide selection of clothes. They're gonna be high quality. They're gonna last you a long time. I can't suggest them enough for pickleball and for everyday life. Thanks again to Vuori for sponsoring this video. Rule number 2 is to transition within the first 7 shots of each rally. So we have the serve, number 1, the return, number 2, third shot, 5th shot, 7th shot. We should at least start our transition by that 7th shot, if not already be up to the net by the 7th shot of each rally. You should be eager to get up to the net, and here is why. The closer that I move up towards the net, the more court that I take away from my opponents. Now that I'm up here, and if I had a partner with me, the only place on the court that they can hit to, unless they hit the ball at me, is into the kitchen from this position. And so because of that, they have a lot less room to hit to. So that's why we want to try our best to keep our opponents back, if possible, so that we have more court to hit to and they have less court to hit to. Now, the further back that I go, the more court I allow my opponents to hit to. That makes them very happy because now they don't feel as much pressure. They can hit it anywhere and it's going to be in. Many players never make it up to the net for one of 2 reasons. It's not what you actually think. Number 1 is because they're too anxious to move forward. So right as soon as they hit their third, they're running forward. They're never split stepping, never stopping their momentum from going forward. And they're just hopeful that their opponents don't hit it right at their feet. Number 2 is the player that's way too passive, that's gonna stay back here and just wait until they hit a perfect drop, until they start to slowly move forward. And then they slowly transition, but they never make it up to the kitchen line. If you want to start winning matches at 3-5 and 4-0 and 4-5, you have to be able to consistently make it up to the kitchen within those 7 shots, or at least start at that 7th shot. So that begs the question, how do we consistently make it up to the net every single time by that 7th shot, or start that transition by then? The absolute best way to do this is to drive when the ball comes deep and to drop when the ball comes short. The only time that we're not dropping when the ball comes short is when it is really high. If it's really high, we can tee off on this ball, get ourselves an easy swinging volley right up here at the kitchen and put the ball away. But other than that, if it's short, that's your free ticket to get up to the net. And if you get up to the net consistently at those levels, 3-5, 4-0, 4-5, you're gonna consistently be winning matches. So if the ball is deep, whether it's deep and low or deep and high, we're driving the ball. If the ball is short, we're dropping the ball. And again, sometimes we have to set ourselves up. So we hit a drive initially on the 3rd shot of the rally. Maybe we hit another drive on the 5th shot of the rally. Then we've set ourselves up to then hit that drop and transition forward. The drop gives us time to transition up to the kitchen. So the next time you hit a drop, I want you to think about it as a way for you to buy yourself time to transition up to the kitchen line. It's your free ticket to move forward. And when you get up there, you're gonna win way more than you lose. I want you to think about the drive as a setup shot. It's instead taking time away from your opponents, reaction time that they need so that they pop you up a nice easy drop to transition up to the kitchen. The biggest mistake that I see below the 4.5 level is players are driving balls from midcourt. They see that the ball is short and they drive the ball. It makes absolutely no sense. If you drive the ball and it's short in the court and it's low or even it's slightly high, you have to hit up. And with that, it's either going 10 feet long, so all your opponents have to do is get out of the way, which they don't at lower levels, so that's why you do it so often. Either they have to get out of the way, or they can easily just counter that ball right back down at your feet. The point's instantly over, 9 times out of 10. So I want you to take an assessment of your own game and realize, how often do I actually get up to the net? If it's not very often, I want you to think about those 2 things. If the ball is short, drop it, don't drive it. If the ball is deep, drive it to set yourself up for a drop, and get up to the net within the first 7 shots of the rally, you'll start winning way more than you are losing. Rule number 3, stay connected. Specifically, stay connected to your partner and the ball. The biggest mistake that I see at the amateur level is that players do not follow their shot. I want you to remember this because it's extremely important. If you always follow the ball, wherever you hit it or where your partner hits it, you will always be in the right position. So if I'm hitting a drop from the baseline and I'm moving forward, I'm following the direction of the ball. If I drop the ball cross court, that's where I am gravitating towards as I move forward. The reason that I want to do that is because my opponents only have this option to speed up to. They have the middle here, or they're going to speed it up to my partner who's already up here established at the kitchen as they should be. They can speed it up down the line or at them. I'm closing that gap. And I'm giving them the hardest shot to hit to, which is going to be this crazy angle over here. They're going to have to dink the ball based off of my drop from that position. So if they dink it, I have time. Dinks give us time to move out wide, dink the ball again, and then again, I'm closing the middle. So what you want to actually act like is that you have a string attached to you, your partner, and the ball. Wherever the ball moves, you guys will move in unison. And if you can do that, you will always be in the correct position and always be covering your opponent's easiest shot. Now, this is the most important part. When we take away our opponent's easiest shot, it causes them to make mistakes because now they have to go for the much more difficult and the harder shot consistently in order to keep the ball away from us. So a quick example of this would be we dink the ball out wide, we follow our shot, we take away this middle speed up from them, our partner is taking away the line, and now the only shot that they have is this little small area right here in the kitchen. If they choose to speed up the ball from that position to this side of our bodies, it's going out. It has to go wide in this position. They don't have enough court to work with. Whereas if they hit up the middle of the court, they have a ton of court to work with and they can hit it in. So we're continuously taking away our opponent's easiest shots, and what that's going to do is cause them to go for the harder shots, cause them to make a ton more errors than they should. If you always follow the ball, you'll always be in the right position. Rule number 4 is to split step often. If I had to pick one thing that amateur players do not do, it is the split step. They absolutely love running through every single shot that they hit. And if we're ever running through the shot that we hit, we're obviously going to be late making contact. We can't react as fast if we do not stop ourselves prior to our opponents hitting the ball. So the correct timing for a split step is going to be when they hit, you split. If you can do this at the correct time, you're going to be able to not only react faster, but it actually sends signals to your brain of consistency and accuracy. Specifically, it's going to help you to be able to hit your sweet spot more often when you split step. So the main thing is, when our opponents make contact with the ball, we need to stop ourselves. We're going to be able to react in any direction faster, whether that is up, back, or side to side, than if we are just running and trying to make it up to the net and now we have to stop and react. The funny thing is that so many players do this without even realizing it. So just me telling you to split step is going to be a huge help to you out on the court to react faster and be able to more consistently hit the sweet spot of your paddle. So the way that we split step is all of the weight is going to be on the balls of our feet leaning forward. We have our feet just outside our shoulders for balance. If they're in here, we're not on balance. We're not going to be able to react as fast as if they're just outside our shoulders. And we are leaning forward with that split step. This tilt is going to help us get our paddle face downwards. Whereas if we're tilting back and we're on the balls of our feet, paddle face goes upwards. Tilt forwards, paddle face goes downwards. The first team to hit downwards is most oftentimes the team that's going to come out on top of hands battles. Now, I'm not saying to split step every single time that your opponents dink the ball. That's actually not going to help you, that's going to hinder you. But it's in transition. As you're moving forward, we cannot be still running as the ball is coming towards us and landing right next to our feet. We have to stop right when our opponents hit. Once we make it up to the kitchen, you no longer need to split every single time that they hit. This isn't something that you see the pros do because it's just an unnecessary movement. Instead, we just have a slight knee bend, we're tilted forward, and we're on the balls of our feet. We're already in this position after we hit every single dink. we're leaning forward, ready to counterattack that ball or speed the ball up. Number 5 is to ask questions in between points. Ask questions to yourself and then relay that to your partner. So ask questions like, what is their strategy? Who are they trying to target? Where are they hitting majority of their shots? What do they struggle with? What's their superpower and how can we take it away? Once you can answer these questions, you'll have a clear understanding of what it is that they want to do, and then you'll be able to create a game plan to take away their superpower. And this brings me to the story that I was talking about earlier. We lost the game 1-11, and me and my partner went and sat on the bench and we came up with a game plan of what is it that they're doing that's really good, that they're absolutely loving, that's making them really comfortable? What is their superpower and how can we take it away? Well, what we came to find out is that the player that was playing on the left side of the court opposite of me, since me and my partner were stacking, I was always on the left side of the court, he was pulling me off the court, causing me to pop up the dink over and over and over again. And so because of this, we had to come up with a specific game plan of how can we take that superpower away. The first thing that I thought of was I will take a step back from the kitchen line, giving him more space to hit to, but also giving me more space to move so that I can more easily get to these shots and set ourselves up. And my partner said, I will try to change the direction of the dink. If we can keep it at this person who's in front of me, they're gonna have a harder time hitting it to me because there's not as much court to work with. There's not as much room since there's only 14 feet straight ahead in comparison to about 22 feet when we go cross court. And so he said, I will change the direction and you should try to change the direction too. So we went forward with that specific game plan, hitting it to this player, changing the direction of the dink and taking that step back. We came back and we won that next game 11-5, as I said before. Now we had figured out a winning strategy. We could have easily been like, okay, that was working. We lost a couple of points with it. Let's try a different strategy. But once you find something that's winning, you want to continue using it until it doesn't work anymore. And so that's exactly what we did in this situation. We just continued with our strategy. I was standing back here, we changed the direction of the dink, and we won that last game even more so than we won the second game. I want to say that we finished with the gold 11-2. And literally all that it came down to was taking away our opponent's superpowers. And that was because we asked specific questions. What is it that they're really enjoying doing and how can we take that away and apply pressure on them? Once you can figure out one winning strategy that actually works, you can literally beat any opponent. But there's one more tip that doesn't fit into this framework, an 11th idea that I'm going to be sharing with you at the end of this video. You don't want to miss it. Rule number 6 is to make the court feel small to your opponents. We talked about this a little bit, but it's really important to reemphasize. The closer that you get to the net, the less court that your opponents have to hit to. The further away you are from the net, the more court that they have to hit to, the less pressure that you can apply on them. The specific strategy that I like to use when I'm up at the net is the strategy of pinching. Pinching is where I am hitting every single dink to the same corner of the kitchen, and so is my partner. We're making the court feel really small for our opponents as I hover over the middle, my partner hovers over the kitchen line, and my opponent feels like the only shot that they have is this out wide angle over here. Now, a lot of players think, oh, well, can't they just hit the ball out wide over here? Yes, they can, but what it causes time and time again is for our opponents to set us up for an ATP that we can then hit down the line. And so by them feeling like the court is so small, they end up going for that huge angle. We just have to be ready for the ATP. If not, it's gonna cause a pop-up. And if not that, and they just end up hitting it in a good position, it's a dink. So we have time to get to it, and then we can continue our pinching strategy, making the court feel extremely small. Rule number 7 is to not attack when you're off balance. So a good example of this is you set up your partner for an Ernie. They jump over the line, hit an Ernie, and you feel like you have to attack that next shot, just simply because you see that your opponents are scrambling. If you attack that next shot and you're off balance reaching for it, you're actually putting yourself in a weaker position. Instead, set yourself up with one more dink out wide or one more dink to the open court, and then you can attack that next shot when you're on balance and put the ball away. So an example of that is this clip right here. So in this clip, I want you to notice how the guy who is lefty is reaching off balance and he's attacking that ball out of the air because he feels like he should, since he just set up his partner with an Ernie. But this is actually the wrong decision. Instead, what he should do is set himself up with one more shot. That will get him the pop-up that he's looking for that he can then hit while he's on balance. So remember to treat each shot as a setup shot when you're off balance, and then when you're on balance, you can try to put the ball away. Rule number 8 is to never miss an opportunity to attack. At the amateur level, it happens all the time where players are missing opportunities to attack, where they'll be up at the kitchen line, they finally get that pop-up that they set themselves up for, and they take a step back and then dink the ball again. Or they dink the ball out of the air even though it's high. And so here's a simple strategy that you can use so that you never miss an opportunity to attack again. First of all, what it comes down to is if you're comfortable, you can attack. Even if the ball is low, if you are comfortable and you're on balance, you can attack effectively. Now your attack is obviously going to be more and more inconsistent the less that you drill that attack, so you got to get out and you got to make sure that you're drilling these shots. Drill hitting attacks when you're on balance, even from low positions, and you will surprise yourself at how consistent you can become. The second thing is, if you are uncomfortable, do not attack the ball. So if you're ever comfortable and you're on balance, look for opportunities to attack. If the ball is high, it's an opportunity to attack. High meaning that it is above net level. If the ball is ever above net level, swing away on that ball if you are comfortable. The strategy that I like to use is the recover and hover strategy. So every single time that I hit the ball, I'm following the ball as we talked about before, and I am hovering over the kitchen line. I'm reaching in. I'm taking that space from 14 feet to about 11 to 12 feet because I am reaching in, ready to attack that next shot. Now this is completely different if I pop up the ball. So if I pop up the ball, I want to back up and split step in anticipation to counter that ball. We want to get away to give ourselves more time. But if we're setting ourselves up and being that offensive player and hitting every single shot low, we should be recovering and hovering over the kitchen. If we can do this every single time, we're always going to give ourselves the best opportunity to make the correct decision and attack those balls that are high. So if you want to quit missing opportunities to attack the ball, you need to make sure that you are recovering and hovering, and you're always attacking balls that are above net level when you are comfortable. Then you can always throw in attacks from a low position after you've gotten out and you've drilled, hitting from that position when comfortable. Rule number 9 is to use the middle as much as possible. The middle of the court is a great way to not only be consistent, but to cause confusion. An old time saying is, down the middle solves the riddle. When we hit the ball down the middle, we're causing a clash with our opponents. They don't know which opponent is taking the ball, and if they don't communicate, a lot of the times it ends up in a winner. The other positive to it for us is the fact that we don't have to worry about hitting the ball wide. Since we're aiming for the middle, we're giving ourselves huge margins. One of the best players that I play with, his name is Jason. And whenever he's hitting a 4th shot of the rally and a 6th shot, and he's up on the net, hitting them over and over and over again, trying to keep the opponents back, he hits up the middle 90% of the time. Now take a note, he is a 5.6 rated player. This guy wins a lot of matches. And it's the fact that he keeps the ball high margins and up the middle. He causes confusion, and the vast majority of the time, the points finish with him hitting a winner up the middle, just simply because the opponents are either confused or they try to go out for the angles. They think that he's going to hit one out wide. He just keeps it up the middle. They never make it up to the net, and instead they're stuck in transition. Now, a strategy that comes to mind with this is when we then get a pop-up from our opponents that is out wide, where we have a huge angle, we can then hit that angle out wide for the winner. But if our opponents are just getting the ball back to us near middle area, if we keep it up the middle, we're going to win the vast majority of those points. The problem is that so many players will actually aim for the sideline. When we aim for the middle, obviously we don't have to worry about that. But if you are aiming to try to hit the angle and pull your opponents off the court, you need to pick a different sideline. So something that I like to do is to pick an imaginary line that is a foot in from the sideline to hit to. I also have that imaginary line a foot in from the baseline. And if you can do this and aim for that line instead, you're gonna have a way greater chance of hitting the ball in. About an 8 out of 10 chance of hitting the ball in. Whereas if you actually aim for the sideline, you have less than a 50% chance to hit the ball in consistently. So that said, hit the vast majority of your shots up the middle. It will solve the riddle. And then if you're hitting that put away shot, make sure that you don't actually aim for the line. Instead, aim a foot in from the line. Your consistency is going to shoot up and you're going to win way more points. Now this brings us to rule number 10, which is to improve your mindset. A quote that I absolutely love that comes from scripture is, "If ye are prepared, ye shall not fear." So in other words, if you prepare for a tournament, go into that tournament prepared, knowing that you did everything that you could to prepare for that tournament, you're not going to feel as much pressure as you would if you didn't prepare for that tournament. You're going to feel excited in comparison to nervous. The very best way to prepare is to get out and drill. If you can build the muscle memory to where you don't even have to think about the shots that you're hitting, you're going to play some of the best pickleball that you've ever played. When I first got into pickleball, I never drilled. I actually showed up to a 4-0 tournament expecting to win, as so many players have out there, and ended up losing. And the reason that I lost is because I hadn't built muscle memory. I thought as a tennis player, I could just show up and win. But instead I got second to last place in a 4-0 tournament. This then motivated me to start drilling. And after I started drilling, I went from losing that 4-0 tournament to literally winning a 5-0 tournament in the period of 3 months. And I drilled way more often than the average person. I was getting out 6 and 7 hours a day. But even if you want to just see a little bit of improvement in your game and have a little bit of improvement in your mindset when you're playing in tournaments, get out and spend time drilling. Again, you can do that by going to pickleballdraillsapp.com. Hundreds of drills taught by the pros. All right, here we are with the 11th tip, the bonus tip. You've made it to the end of the video and it is not going to disappoint. Rule number 11 is to use plays. If you have a specific pattern that you're using on every single point that is changing from point to point, your opponents won't know what to do and they'll feel like you're reading their minds. Plays literally put you 2 moves ahead of your opponents in every single point that you play. Now you might be thinking, well, what are the plays in pickleball? Well, good thing for you, I created an entire course that will take you through each of the plays in pickleball. And you can get your first 12 plays 100% free by going to the link at the bottom of the screen. These plays have been absolute game changers for me, and I know that they will for you too. And the reason is because when we have a play that we're using, it shuts off the part of our brain that wants to overanalyze everything and helps us to just play pickleball. When we go into every point focused on a specific strategy, we're no longer focused on our technique. We're no longer focused on, oh, why am I missing this drop? Oh, I'm getting tense. Oh, I need to do this with my wrist. It shuts off that part of our brain, helps us to just focus on the task at hand, focus on those patterns. So again, you can go to this link. All 12 of those plays are 100% free. They're very effective. They're going to help you improve your pickleball game. And then in the future, if you want more plays, you can upgrade. But I wanted to create this simple resource for you because my entire goal is to help as many players as possible improve their pickleball game. And this is going to be one of the best ways to do it. So don't let the grass grow beneath your feet. Go to that link at the bottom of your screen. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. If you want to continue improving your pickleball game, you can go to this video right here and I will see you over there.